If you've been working hard, saving what you can, and still feel like you're falling behind, you're not alone. And if you don't understand why this is happening, you'll keep spinning your wheels while quietly drowning in stress. I'm Richard Blake, and I help people like you cut through the noise. Because what's really fueling your financial anxiety isn't your salary or your spending. It's the invisible pressure wrapped in filtered perfection and fake success. We're talking about the social media illusion that makes your life look small, even when you're doing everything right. And in the middle of that comparison trap, rising debt is growing silently, pulling millions into a system that thrives on shame and silence. But the truth is, you might be doing better than you think. Let's break this down together, because once you see it clearly, everything changes. It's wild how someone can be making six figures and still feel broke. Why? Because everywhere they look, Instagram, YouTube, even their cousin's vacation photos, they're being told they should already own a Tesla, a beach house, and have their life together. This social media illusion creates a toxic game of comparison, where even financially stable people feel like they're falling behind. You scroll through endless highlight reels of curated lifestyles and wonder, am I the only one not thriving? But behind those perfectly filtered snapshots, many are drowning in rising debt and living paycheck to paycheck. What looks like success is often just a facade. Rented luxury, credit card stacking, and the pressure to impress an audience that doesn't even care. It's not just about money anymore. It's about performance. We've tied self-worth to net worth, and that's a dangerous game. If you feel like you're financially behind, chances are you're comparing your real life to someone else's edited version. And this illusion has far more consequences than just bruised ego. It's fueling something deeper we're about to explore. Let's talk numbers. American households are now holding over $1.3 trillion in credit card debt, a record high. And here's the kicker. Delinquencies are spiking, and millions are just one unexpected bill away from chaos. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't the exception anymore. It's the new default setting for the middle class. You'd think higher income would be the solution, but even folks making 100K plus are feeling crushed. Between high interest rates, rent spikes, car payments, and inflation eating away their dollar's value, there's barely room to breathe. The average person is constantly juggling bills, with financial anxiety lingering like a shadow over every decision. This isn't just about poor budgeting, it's systemic. Student loans, healthcare costs, rising debt from everyday survival. It's like we're swimming against a current that keeps pulling harder. And yet, social media keeps whispering, you should be doing better. But the real damage? That's showing up in how we feel, which brings us to something even more personal. FOMO used to mean missing out on parties. Now, it's watching strangers on TikTok buy luxury bags, renovate homes, or retire at 30, and wondering what the heck you're doing wrong. This isn't harmless envy, it's financial dysmorphia, where your perception of success gets warped by filtered fantasies. The brain doesn't always distinguish between aspiration and expectation. You see someone post, just bought my third rental property, and suddenly, your stable but modest life feels like failure. This creates a constant state of financial anxiety, the kind that keeps you up at night, doubting every decision, every dollar spent. It's no wonder people are spending just to soothe the discomfort. But that dopamine hit from retail therapy fades fast, and now you're stuck with the bill. Literally. From here, many fall into a trap that's dressed up to look like flexibility and freedom, but actually locks them in deeper. On the surface, buy now, pay later. Services like Klarna and Afterpay feel harmless, convenient even. Who wouldn't want to split payments with zero interest? But here's the problem. They normalize debt for things we never used to finance, like clothes, groceries, or even pizza. People often stack multiple BNPL purchases across different platforms, losing track entirely. One late payment leads to fees, and suddenly you're drowning in micro debt that's harder to manage than a credit card. The illusion of affordability keeps us spending more than we have over and over again. It's debt disguised as convenience. And for younger consumers, especially those dealing with Gen Z money habits shaped by social media, it becomes a cycle of dependency. This easy option is quietly reshaping how we relate to money, and it's only amplified by something far more powerful and structural. Remember when getting a car loan felt like a rite of passage? Now it feels like a trap. Thanks to aggressive hikes by the Federal Reserve, high interest rates have turned simple loans into long-term burdens. That 25K car? You might end up paying 35K by the end of your term. And it's not just cars. Credit card interest has ballooned too, with average APRs hovering near 25%. Even responsible spenders are paying hundreds in interest every month. Mortgages? Forget it. For many, homeownership isn't just delayed, it's becoming permanently out of reach. These shifts are reshaping the entire economic landscape. It's creating a generational divide, where boomers got homes at 5%, millennials are staring at double digits. The American dream feels more like a fairy tale now, especially when we zoom in on one particular piece of it. Buying a home used to be a milestone. Now, it's a miracle. Homeownership struggle is real, especially for millennials and Gen Z. Skyrocketing home prices, fierce competition with cash-rich investors, and stagnant wages make it nearly impossible to get in the game. Even saving for a down payment feels like chasing a mirage. You put aside every extra dollar, and boom, inflation pressure wipes out your progress. Meanwhile, institutional investors are buying entire neighborhoods and flipping them for rent, making ownership feel like a luxury reserved for the wealthy. Many feel like they're failing at adulthood just because they're renting. But the truth is, the game is rigged. And while you might be comparing yourself to someone who owns a house, you don't see the crushing rising debt behind those walls. But maybe, just maybe, you're doing better than you think. Here's the truth no one's telling you. If you're budgeting, avoiding lifestyle creep, and making even small contributions to a 401k or TRSA account, you're already ahead of most. In a world built to keep you spending, financial literacy is your quiet rebellion. You don't need to own property or have six figures in savings to be winning. Most people out there are winging it. No plan, no safety net, just vibes. So if you're making conscious choices, questioning trends, and saying no to unnecessary debt, that's real progress. The comparison trap makes you feel like a failure, but progress isn't always visible. Peace of mind doesn't trend. Living below your means won't get applause, but it builds freedom. And that freedom, real, lasting freedom, starts with something we rarely talk about as a true wealth-building strategy. What if wealth wasn't about accumulation, but subtraction? Minimalism, at its core, is about choosing peace over pressure. It's opting out of the endless chase for status symbols and opting into freedom, emotional, mental, and financial. Learning to say no is a power move. No to the latest tech. No to keeping up with the Joneses. No to credit card interest on things you didn't need. Every time you prioritize clarity over clutter, you're investing in a life that feels rich, not just looks rich. Financial literacy teaches you that every dollar has a job. And when that job is aligned with your values, money becomes a tool, not a burden. When your worth isn't tied to what you buy, you're free to build something more meaningful: stability, legacy, and contentment. And all of that starts with rewiring how you feel about money. So now that you know the truth, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep chasing someone else's version of success, or finally define your own? Because here's the thing, you don't need more stuff. You need more clarity, more confidence, and a plan that's actually yours. Ask yourself, are you spending to impress or investing to evolve? Are you letting social media shape your money beliefs, or are you building a life based on values, not vibes? You've got more power than you realize, and sometimes all it takes is stepping back and asking, what really matters to me? If this video opened your eyes, don't let that insight fade. Hit subscribe, turn on the notifications, and join this community that's rewriting the rules of money without shame, without pressure, and without pretending. Because this journey, it's just getting started, and you're not alone.